Farmyard, the People's Channel.
Cross, Romario! Oh, he met it so well. And Whitmore! Theodore Whitmore. Absent without leave, this is Whitmore. Paul and Gale both available. It's still Whitmore. And it's now 2-0.
Welcome football from Yard Massive. The Reggae Boyz were finally able to register a point in the World Cup qualifying campaign with a 1-1 draw in Costa Rica, our first ever away point in Costa Rica during World Cup qualifying. Informed Jamaican striker Shamar Nicholson scored a 47th minute equaliser after Costa Rica opened the scoring in the 3rd minute of play. This was by far the strongest performance of the first 3 World Cup qualifying matches. More importantly, the Reggae Boyz displayed a fighting spirit that was completely absent from the shambolic performance in Kingston against Panama. As it was for the game against Mexico, the Reggae Boyz were without 8 UK-based players whose clubs would not allow them to travel to red-listed countries, Costa Rica being one of those. Norman Campbell, Javon East, Anthony Grant, Peter Lee Vassell, Damian Lowe, and Ricardo Morris rejoined the squad in their place, as well as veteran Jevaughn Watson. With his back against the wall and calls for his dismissal growing with each loss, Theodore Whitmore turned to his trusted core of players with a few exceptions. Shot-stopper extraordinaire Andre Blake captained the team in goal. Damian Lowe and Adrian Mariappa renewed their partnership in central defence, and Whitmore went with his preferred wing-backs, Alvas Powell and Kemar Lawrence. Devon Speedy Williams and Anthony Grant formed the base of the midfield, and in order to provide the team with a creative spark, Whitmore went with diminutive midfielder Tyreek Magee. Hard-running duo Junior Flemmings and Cory Burke occupied the wings, while Shamar Nicholson led the line. The boys got off to a rocky start in the first half as Costa Rica struck in the 3rd minute, with Jamaica failing to adequately track players in the box. Jimmy Marin was able to place the ball into the back of the net. The team came up with a more aggressive approach in the second half and was able to equalize shortly after the restart. Tyreek Magee worked his magic to get through the Costa Rican midfield, then released Kemar Lawrence on the left flank, who crossed the ball to Shamar Nicholson to finish past PSG goalkeeper Keylor Navas. The quality of output from the players varied on the day, but all the players displayed a strong fighting spirit throughout the encounter. With the exception of the Costa Rican goal, Andre Blake looked comfortable throughout the game. On the goal, Blake played for a header to his near post, but the player ended up heading it back across his goal, and he was out of position. Costa Rica had primarily half chances for the most part, which resulted in some saves, but they were fairly routine by Blake's standards. While Blake's distribution was subpar in the 2 previous qualifiers, it was much improved in this game. Blake gets a score of 8. Damian Lowe constantly disrupted the Costa Rican attacks with a number of interceptions and key tackles. When it comes to turning a 50-50 ball into a comfortable win, Lowe has no equal. He had a poor turnover early in the game, but was otherwise good in possession, launching a number of counterattacks. The communication between himself and Mariappa had a few bouts of sloppiness, including the Costa Rican goal, but overall the two were on the same page. In the last few minutes of the game, he started to be a bit late on his tackles, likely a result of fatigue. Lowe gets a 7. Adrian Mariappa was solid on the day, with a few occasional lapses. It was a rough start to the game as he was caught in no man's land during the first goal. Otherwise, he did a good job of cleaning up anything that Damian Lowe wasn't able to take care of. His possession was a notch below his normal level, with a few unforced errors, but fortunately, he and his teammates were able to recover. The Lowe-Liam Moore partnership has been our best central defensive pairing so far, but Mariappa, despite not having a club, has showed that he can fill a gap when needed. He gets a score of 6. Kemar Lawrence has had a strong run in the World Cup qualifiers, with this being his strongest game of the 3. Taxi aggressively pushed forward to support the attack, ultimately resulting in him getting the assist on the equaliser. Taxi and Junior Flemmings tend to have a good understanding, which leads to good interchanges on the attacking and defensive end. On defence, Taxi was quickly tracking back to chase down the opposition and close down plays with aggressive tackles. He was also very strong in the air. Taxi left it all on the field. He gets a 9. Alvas Powell was racing up and down the right flank all night. His pace caused a lot of problems for the Costa Rican winger and wing-back. He stopped most of their attacks when challenged and exploded past them when he had the ball. The son of St. Thomas can be a very perplexing footballer. he's able to do difficult things with ease, such as dribbling by multiple players at pace, but there are times when he makes mistakes on basic fundamentals of the game, such as crossing. While there's room for improvement in possession, Powell was very good on the defensive end, which had been a big concern in some of his recent starts. Powell gets a 7. Anthony Grant's performance wasn't quite at the level of his debut against Mexico, but he had a solid showing. The veteran is effective at blocking passing lanes, but in the first half he was a bit too static and we didn't see enough of his tenacious tackling. That improved substantially in the second half. Grant does a pretty good job of releasing the ball quickly to a teammate when an obvious pass is available. Where he tends to struggle is when he's under pressure without an obvious outlet. CONCACAF opponents are unfamiliar with Grant, so teams may take a more targeted approach towards him going forward. While there are some limitations to his game, he's been a good addition to the squad so far. Grant gets a 6. Devon "Speedy" Williams was exceptional in midfield on the night, matching any performance he's had in a Reggae Boyz jersey. Speedy thrived in the box-to-box midfield role, intercepting a number of Costa Rican attacks and effectively combining with his teammates in possession. Apart from one missed pass in the first half, Speedy did not put a foot wrong all night. Based on their 2 games played together so far, Williams and his midfield counterpart, Grant, seem to have established a very good synergy. Going forward, one area where the team can get more from Williams is through him becoming more of a goal-scoring threat. He has a pretty decent shot, so it would be good to see more of it. Williams gets a 9. Looking to add a spark to the Jamaican attack, Theodore Whitmore turned to Tyreek Magee to pull the strings in the midfield. Magee and his talented left foot took a while to get settled in the game. In the first half he was quite frustrating, looking timid in possession, resulting in a number of cheap turnovers as he either got robbed of the ball or made underweighted passes. Late in the first half he was pulled over by Coach Whitmore for some instructions, and it was a different Magee thereafter. He appeared much more comfortable and confident in his play, displaying the type of performance Jamaican fans have been waiting for. On the Jamaican goal, Magee launched the initial attack after dismissing his defender. He had a number of other passes that led to unconverted goal-scoring opportunities. The boost in confidence also saw Magee uncharacteristically contributing on the defensive end. The player, who has a reputation for being a defensive liability, chased down and dispossessed the Costa Ricans on a couple of occasions. In the first half, Magee showed why he struggled to get into the first team at his club. In the second half, he showed why the same club is unwilling to part ways with him. Magee gets a 7. Junior Flemmings' output was mixed. As always, Flemmings' combination of hard work and pace provided his wingback with a security blanket. His direct play in possession resulted in a couple of dangerous attacks. Flemmings' primary weakness was his passing in the final third. There was one breakaway where Flemmings should have been more selfish and utilized his bread and butter move of cutting inside onto his right foot before shooting on goal. He's probably most effective from an attacking perspective as a substitute running at tired legs, but when he doesn't start, the team does lose a bit of defensive solidity on the flank. Flemming gets a 5. Cory Burke ran and ran and ran, as he always does. Burke's effectiveness was limited by playing in an unnatural winger role, but as he always does, he put in the work. His ball position could have been better, and he probably should have had a shot on goal in the first half when he did all the hard work to create space for himself. He gave his all on the defensive end, but a couple sloppy tackles led to a yellow card, his second of the octagonal, which will result in him being suspended for the next game against the USA. Burke gets a 6. Shamar Nicholson continued his rich vein of form. Nicholson was relatively quiet in the first half. In the second half, he got the equalizer and should have had another 1 or 2 to add to his tally. Unfortunately, he was unable to get a shot on goal or lost his footing on the other attempts. Nicholson's size, skill, and change of pace is something that CONCACAF defenses clearly have problems with. Having scored 2 goals in 2 starts, the coaching staff will have some tough choices to make when all attacking options are available in the future. Nicholson gets a 7. Jevaughn East entered the fray in the second half and was able to immediately disrupt the Costa Rican attacks. On the attacking end, he caused problems for them with his movement and technical ability. While he didn't offer the same level of defensive coverage as Flemmings or Burke, he put in his fair share of work. East had what looked to be an egregious miss, but it was actually offside. He gets a 6. Blair Turgott entered the field along with Javon East, giving the team fresh legs on the right side. He worked hard to provide defensive cover, but on the attacking side he was a bit out of sync on the few occasions he received the ball. He gets a 5. Lamar Walker looked very dangerous in his short cameo. He offered a different dynamic to Tyreek Magee with his direct but creative style. Walker gets a 6. Veteran Jevaughn Watson also had a brief stint on the field, spelling Anthony Grant. He only had enough time to make 1 pass and 1 tackle. He gets a 5. Romario Williams didn't have enough time on the field to make an assessment of his contribution. While the team was disappointed not taking the full 3 points after creating better chances, they were happy for their away point and the type of performance on display, especially in the second half. The campaign resumes in 1 month with another batch of 3 games. Jamaica plays mostly away games in the first half of its qualifying schedule, so things will not get easier for quite some time. One can only hope that the team builds on the momentum from this draw and is able to calm some of the off-the-field distractions that have plagued the unit thus far. There's a delicate balance between getting the correct team with the right chemistry and having the best 11 individuals on paper in the starting lineup. Those are the tough problems the coaching staff will have to figure out going forward. Respect as always, and linkage next time.
Cross, Robbie-O! Oh, he met it so well. And Whitmore! Theodore Whitmore. On absent without leave, this is Whitmore. Hall and Gale both available. It's still Whitmore. And it's now 2-0.